every one of you to our support meeting today and getting together the community. It's such a good group today, and I want to welcome my students from the Biofeedback Practitioner class. All of you new practitioners, a warm welcome to you. You survived the 8 weeks of learning. The Biofeedback Practitioner class is now available for download, and you can get all of the classes and all of the recordings and all of the important information for immediate download now if you are interested. We have a number of Cyber Monday specials that are available, and I just want you guys to know about those, so I'm going to put those links down into the question or chat area for you. There are so many things coming up that are exciting in 2018, so it's a wonderful time to be getting involved with the Genius because we're going to have so many breakthroughs in programs. So I hope you can join me for some of the programs coming up in 2018. The guys who took the Biofeedback Practitioner program have been so amazing, and they've learned new strategies and protocols that will allow them to really be empowered with the Genius. So thanks you guys for being so enthusiastic. Thank you for being such amazing students, and I'm really excited to see where you will be taking the program. Today we're taking you as a volunteer. If you want to volunteer or have me test someone in your family, let me know and send the date of birth and information about that person or about yourself, and we will do a scan, and I'll tell you what I think based on my knowledge of biofeedback and my knowledge of naturopathic medicine. That's what I bring together. I see biofeedback as a coming together of both the physical world and taking real-life natural medicine principles. And if you can understand those principles, then you can combine them with your biofeedback. And when you're reading your biofeedback results, you're going to have a greater understanding of what you're looking at and how to interpret it. And so I see this is the energetic world and the physical world coming together. So when you come to my classes and you learn about natural medicine, it is to the service of what you have happen in your biofeedback readings. And so really look for the classes I have coming up in methylation, in the gut microbiome. We'll do more on the mitochondria. So I really, really appreciate all of you who've been part of this program very, very much. So thanks everyone for being here. I want to welcome some of the new users of the program. Marianne, thank you so much. I think Carrie told you about the program, so I'm really happy to be here and happy to have you here with us. Tracy from Canada, welcome. Stella is thinking about getting the program. So Stella, a warm welcome to you and thank you. Would love to have you return for the free class as many times as you want. We have such wonderful people on here, like a longtime user, Sherry. Sherry was through my 2-year advanced class program, and we're going to start up something like that soon. More advanced training is coming your way. Sharon from Oregon is here. She is one of the graduates of our practitioner program. So thank you for being here. And there's another Sharon R here today. Sharon, welcome. I haven't seen you on the call before, so just so happy to have you here. Maria from Mexico, so happy that you're going to be getting some of those programs, some of the new cutting-edge programs we have. So welcome. Claire, one of our longtime users, is here. Welcome, Claire. And Beatrice, big hugs and welcome to you, and thank you for all you do to uplift the people around you. My brain is still a little bit in Thanksgiving. I'm going to need some balancing myself. Okay, so Carol says, I was really delighted to see the new program and the topics in the Biofeedback Practitioner program. Carol, you're a love, and you've brought some wonderful ideas. Thank you so much. Jane is here. Jane, welcome. And Heather is here. So Heather, I think what you should do, just to make this a little easier on me, is go ahead and put your name down, your date of birth down in the chat area where you've chatted there. And Heather, we can work on you today. Also, check your microphone. Maybe we can talk to you by microphone and get your voice recording. And warm welcome to Karen, joining us from Saskatchewan, and her wonderful community there that she is forming up there in Canada. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you bring to the biofeedback community. And I want to just particularly welcome all the people who are there with her today. Thanks you guys for being there, and thanks for being there to find out more about biofeedback and what it can bring to you. So thank you so much. I just want to call your attention to something we're going to be working with today. This is something I've had available as a special. It's on the Cyber Monday special. It is a new program for working with the mitochondria. And I'm just going to do a little initial testing. We're going to come back and test people today on this program. This is really amazing because your mitochondria are very unique. They are the powerhouse of your body. They literally produce the energy in your body. The ATP, or the energy currency of the body, is produced in these amazing cells called the mitochondria. So literally when you're tired, it is often because you're having mitochondrial fatigue or mitochondrial dysfunction. And this mitochondrial dysfunction can cause disruption in your brain, it can cause disruption in your heart, it can cause disruption in your hormones, which is really interesting. So unless you heal up the mitochondria, it could cause a disruption in your thyroid. If you heal up the mitochondria, you could potentially heal up everything else. And so what I've done in the mitochondrial rejuvenation program is explained how to do that with biofeedback. So like many of the things that we do, we sort of pick apart the anatomy, we look at where the anatomy has gone wrong, and what's interesting is there is unique genetic material within the mitochondria. The mitochondrial DNA is a different set of genes apart from your regular genetics. It's very fascinating. And in the program, I show some pictures of the mitochondria. They almost look like they're their own little bacteria that somehow we have incorporated and taken into our bodies. They're totally fascinating. And within the mitochondria is the electron transport chain. So it's not just about the vitamins and minerals, it is about the energetics of the body, which is completely fascinating, which means it is very amenable, it is very open to receiving frequencies. The electron transport chain, the more you create coherence in the body or even direct that coherence to the mitochondria, it's very likely we can have a positive impact on them. As well, it's also possible to employ particular nutrients, both in the form of frequency and in the form of actual nutrients. For example, PQQ, the form of CoQ10, which is most activating for the mitochondria. And I go into this in this program that you can download and then get the harmonizing protocols here, the rejuvenation panels. And so this is really interesting. What this tells us is that the mitochondria is asking for assistance. So in particular, the mitochondrial DNA is asking for assistance. And it's kind of the most amazing thing that in biofeedback, we can send subtle energy directly to the mitochondrial DNA through the genius. This is the promise of biofeedback. I mean, this is the most incredible thing. And just the fact that you could know, hey, my mitochondrial DNA is not what it could be in an instant. And then even just your thoughts begin to focus on that. Oh, the mitochondrial DNA. Oh, I'd like to do something to repair that. Oh, I wonder if that could be rejuvenated. I wonder if I could heal the telomeres within the DNA. And a whole activation process begins, plus you're able to reach it through the genius itself. So it is really cool, you guys. And literally the mitochondria is the root to so many other things. If you can get your mitochondria back on track, it could potentially slow the aging process. If you could get your mitochondria back on track, you may sleep better. Your hormones may be better. And there's a Dr. Michael Kucera. He is completely just focused on healing people's mitochondria as a way to facilitate the health of the rest of the body. And that is where I took my lead from for using the mitochondrial rejuvenation program. So it's possible you could use this program as a centerpiece for everybody you're working on. Even if you're working on heart disease, or you're working on blood pressure, or you're working on menopause, you could do this first, or as a cornerstone to everything else that you're doing. Because one thing that you want to think about as a biofeedback practitioner is, what is root cause? What is the root cause? If you try to treat symptoms of high blood pressure or your low thyroid, you will be running around chasing symptoms for the rest of your practitioner lifetime. If you ask the question, where did this come from? Did this come from an emotional trauma? Did this come from whatever it is? Did it come because of mitochondrial dysfunction? You want to get to the root cause. If you get to root cause, you will unravel everything else. It is as true in medicine as it is in the biofeedback energetic world. What makes you an excellent practitioner is that you're an excellent investigator. Never stop asking questions about, how can we find out why this has occurred? What is behind that? What is deeper than that? That's what we really want to know. So the lysosome is within the mitochondria. Now there's something that is energetically not working about the lysosome. Will we investigate further and find out exactly why the lysosome is not working properly? We will not, but we will be able to run the frequency to bring it into harmony. We want to go right down to the molecular details of the issue and begin to run these subtle frequencies to improve the relationship of that person with regard to that particular issue, or with regard to the lysosome. This is so powerful. This is such amazing breakthroughs that it makes me excited to be a practitioner. It makes me excited for what we can accomplish in the world to help people. Here are the secretory vesicles, the centrioles. These are all simply part of the mitochondria, and we are working, picking apart the little pieces of the anatomy and going in for laser focus. Where do we need to put our energy? Well, the peroxisome, the centrioles, these are the organelles within the mitochondria, and we're sending subtle frequencies to optimize their function. Then we go to the assessment. What are the pieces that are making up the problem with the mitochondria? Well, we've got a vitamin C deficiency. We've got a B1 thiamine deficiency. Very interesting. A lot of people are coming up more thiamine deficiency. It could be because we're going more grain-free. In the brown rice, whole brown rice, there's a lot of thiamine in there, and a lot of people are avoiding grains these days, so that's interesting. This is for cognitive function, and you'll see now something called benfotiamine. Benfotiamine is a form of like a liposomal fat-backed form of vitamin B1, very interesting, that is being used to improve cognitive function and to prevent cognitive decline. Malic acid deficiency is absolutely fascinating because it is the malic acid that drives the citric acid cycle, which is literally the biochemical pathway that creates the ATP. We have seen this research in fibromyalgia, where they give constituents to nutritional support to increase the malic acid in the body. When you bite into a green apple and you taste that tangy taste, you're receiving a large dose of malic acid. So it's possible you could even get it from the juicing of green apples. And that tastes really good if you put a little bit of ginger in there, by the way. So it's saying malic acid will help to better drive the chemical pathways of the mitochondria. And this is all explained in that rejuvenation program. You can get it on special for Cyber Monday. Check out the link below in the chat area. CoQ10 deficiency, again, this is the biggest nutrient that feeds the mitochondria. So interesting that it picks up on that. B6 deficiency, this is one of the B vitamins. It's fascinating, you guys. One of the biggest aha moments I had in naturopathic school was learning about this little cycle called the citric acid cycle, and you can Google that and look that up online if you're sitting there listening to this. And in the citric acid cycle, Literally, there are nutrients like B6 and B1 and B3 that have to be added in like ingredients as you go around the citric acid cycle, and that is a big biochemical pathway that produces the energy of the body. It literally produces ATP within the mitochondria. It was so fascinating because it was like, oh my God, this is why we need vitamin B. This is why we need the B complex, because these are ingredients in the mitochondrial pathway to make energy for the body, which is why we associate the B complex with having more energy. And an interesting thing, you guys, I think you're really going to like, is that another really important cofactor in that process of the ATP making energy is magnesium. So isn't that interesting? This is another reason why magnesium is so important for us and so powerful, is because it's in that citric acid cycle. When I say citric acid cycle, that is the little pathway, the little machine, the little factory where your energy is literally being produced in your body. And if it didn't work, you'd just want to hide under the covers all day and not do anything because you had no energy. Well, this also says because of a stomach infection called SIBO, we're not producing as much ATP as we could, which is interesting. It calls out the gut involvement in here. Sympathetic dominance, we need to do some meditation and some mindfulness, some maybe walking on the earth or walking barefoot on the earth, because the sympathetic dominance is causing this mitochondria not to function as well. B3 deficiency, niacin literally goes right into that citric acid cycle. B5 deficiency, pantothenic acid is known to be associated with adrenal function and having energy. Again, it's one of the things in that pathway. So we've got those, then we go and we find some solutions, what things will help the mitochondria to be better. L-carnitine, which is interesting, carnitine and carnosine are both important parts of the mitochondrial function. Glutathione for detoxification, resveratrol, an important antioxidant. One thing that the electron transport chain is subject to is free radicals. So think about it as, what can you do to have a perfectly functioning electrical system in your body? And that electrical system, that properly functioning electrical system, will translate directly to good mitochondrial function. So walking barefoot on the earth and pulling up electrons on the earth will power up your electron transport chain better. So if you walk on the earth barefoot for 5 minutes a day, you will actually be giving electrical energy to your mitochondria that is very much needed. If you even just go out in the forest and get wonderful negative ions and so forth, you will be helping the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is deeply affected by any type of free radical damage. So we can see here that resveratrol, a potent antioxidant, could be really helpful. The energy or the frequency of gratitude, just taking a moment and being thankful, so shifting the energy in your body in a positive way, will give life and energy to the mitochondria. We see the vitamin B5 again, which we saw before, vitamin B12, clove oil, very, very potent antioxidant, as Karen well knows all about those wonderful essential oils. Some Ashtanga yoga, some other medicinal mushrooms. Go down to the bottom and look for some other pieces here. Magnesium, as I talked about before. Some coral calcium may do some alkalizing. Vitamin B6, we saw that just before. More antioxidants. It's interesting that yoga is resonating. The chaga mushroom, vitamin B3, more ingredients. The TA65, you guys, that's a really interesting thing that I talk about in the mitochondrial rejuvenation program. It is a form of astragalus. It is a very specific form of astragalus that has literally scientifically been shown to lengthen the telomeres, because we can actually do testing of the telomeres to see if they're shortening or lengthening. There's a company called SpectraCell. You can do the test through me. You can do the test online. It shows if your telomeres are lengthening or shortening. So the TA65 is a particular form of astragalus that will help the telomeres to lengthen. Now, really, you could get it through meditation, through yoga, through Tai Chi, Qigong. There's many ways to get your telomeres to lengthen, but that's an interesting one. Of course, I experiment with all of these things. I'll never forget, I took the TA65, and usually I wake up with a little bit of, pains and aches and so forth. I woke up, I didn't have any pain at all. It was kind of amazing. So I talk about that in the Rejuvenation program, but you can run the frequency of it. You can access the frequency of TA65. Ashwagandha, or you can just use regular astragalus and see if that has some benefit as well, because TA65 is a bit expensive. You can request some more information through me if you want. But yeah, you can run the frequency. You guys can access anything through frequency. And then the last one here is the energetics. We're going to test this on some people today, have some fun with it. Biofeedback is always super, super fun. And we're not getting a lot here. This is just a sample client. But the humanine gene functioning perfectly. So within the mitochondria, there's 37 genes which are distinct and separate from regular human DNA. It's totally fascinating. And this humanine gene is one that is very, very interesting for anti-aging. So what we do is we program the frequency. Let's get the humanine gene functioning perfectly. And so we utilize that in the harmonizing. This is just a sample client, so not a lot is coming up here. Then we have the proper frequency for mitochondrial DNA. We tell the DNA, we program the DNA to function perfectly. We heal the DNA back 7 generations, because where the mother's mitochondrial, little m DNA means mitochondrial DNA, could be affecting us today. Part of mitochondrial's function is to enhance apoptosis. We want to do that properly because that breaks down and causes aging. Optimal functioning of ATP, this is the energy currency. Think about when you eat food, it ultimately is broken down to glucose. Even if you're ketogenic, it'll transport it into glucose. That glucose is like crude oil. So if you went out and you got some crude oil somewhere, discovered an oil field in your backyard, and you said, hey, I want to use this oil to pump this into my gasoline-powered car, you would be out of luck. You need a refinery. You need to refine it. That is what happens in the human body. Human glucose is refined to ATP inside the mitochondria, which produces literally your energy currency called adenosine triphosphate. And this is the MOTSC, enhance this to perfect levels. This is one of the things that is powering up the mitochondria. It's one of the pieces, the MOTSC, and so we want to get that piece functioning well. All 37 mitochondrial DNA are coherent. We want to program now that mitochondrial DNA to now start functioning correctly. You guys just sitting right there, you can even start to think to yourself, all my mitochondrial DNA are functioning perfectly. They function perfectly. They are now completely healed. They're now 100% healed, and all resistance or subconscious patterns to them functioning perfectly are now cleared. So you can do all of that yourself, and then you enhance it through your balancing with the genius, which is kind of just absolutely amazing. We put all of them together. Now, normally, if we're doing a session, I will always put in emotions, and I'll always put in flower essences. Those are really going to drive this healing much more powerfully, because this is a recipe. This is a soup of frequencies together. We want to combine all the ingredients and make it a well-rounded soup. And we could even, something I haven't talked about as much, we could even put in nogies or solfeggios. And I'm definitely going to be talking about those in the coming weeks. So we kind of find out what is needed the most. So this meditation and mindfulness will really help this mitochondrial issue. Niacin or B3 is needed, and so on and so forth. We need to detoxify to really help those mitochondria. I'm just going to hit this for the moment. So that's the introduction to the mitochondrial rejuvenation program. It's on special for the Cyber Monday specials, and really get a lot. You get the whole guide and all of the frequencies, how to use it, and so forth. So there's that, and we're going to test people on this today. And so we need some folks to test. Let's see if Heather is around. So let's work with Heather first. She's been asking for a session. Okay, good, Heather. I'm so glad you're here. Sophie, good morning. And Sharon says, thanks, I'm tuning in from Cape Town. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, Sharon, welcome. And you're one of the first people to be part of who's joining us. We have a new distributorship in South Africa, and Ryan, the developer, is a native South Afrikaner. Is that correct? And so we're just love having you today, and really, really glad you're here. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning here. And hey, Kelly, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm going to turn the camera off for a second. That means you won't see the screen for just a moment because I want to privately enter our volunteers' information, and then we'll just turn that off just momentarily. We also have the brain protocol on special for the Cyber Monday. The brain protocol is something that we covered in the biofeedback practitioner class. So actually, if you get that class, it will be included. But you can also get it separately, and that is for going back developmentally to early childhood and allowing the brain to re-experience proper energetic development. It's absolutely fascinating. It was created by Gérard Guignot from France, and I learned directly from him, and I've created it in an energetic way that you can use it. It's good for kids with autism, but it's also good if you've had some past trauma as a child between the ages of between birth and the age of 14. It can help you to re-experience the development in a healthy way using certain energetic frequencies. It's a pretty fascinating prospect. There are just so many things that are possible with biofeedback, and I believe that this is the age and the time of possibility. Well, I have Heather's information entered, and let's see if we can get her voice recording. Let me turn the camera back on. Sometimes I forget that. If not, we'll just go sort of float with it. Heather, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, wonderful. Oh, this is so good because Heather's been asking me since the summit for a scan. I'm so grateful to have you. Let's right away record your voice. So I'm going to have you say just your first name. My name is Heather, and then just say A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U until you see the recording stop or I say we're good. Okay? So
All right.
I'll count you down here. 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
My name is Heather. A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Heather, that was absolutely perfect. So good job. I know it sounds funny, but you can say really anything. You could really say anything during that. But AEIOU gives a lot of fluctuations in the voice, which is really, really helpful. So what are we working on for you, or what things should we be looking at? What areas?
I'm curious about all of it. The brain, I have two autistic children that I homeschool.
Okay.
Also, for some reason, I'm going through a ton of pain in my body,
Okay. Well,
especially
you
on
got a
my,
lot on your plate.
yeah.
Yeah, now I understand why you wanted the scan. My goodness. Okay. All right. So let me do my magic here, and we'll come back and talk to you in a little bit, all right?
All right.
All right, just for fun, let's go ahead and let's look at that aura first, and we'll take a picture of that. We don't have the picture, so we actually could have gotten it. She did send it to me on Facebook, but just for time this morning, let's just do this. You can do this without the picture, you guys. In quantum biofeedback, there is a lot that happens with your intention. Yes, it's always good to have the picture, but for our demonstration purposes, this is fine. So a lot of people are asking about the aura constantly, so I'm going to be doing a bit more writing and have some more information and training about the aura in the new year because people are just so want to know. There is some beautiful pink rose coming in here. So she's got a lot, she's pulling in a lot of healing energy. She may herself probably is a very high vibrational person, has a lot of healing ability, and probably no accent. She's bringing light to all of these different places with her children and so forth, but she really has a lot on her plate. But we do see this imbalance here. There is some darkness over here and something going on here. What we want to see is this starts to clear up. We're probably going to see some purple and blue energy coming in. We're always pulling energy through this direction and pushing it out this side. So let's take a picture of this, and then we'll come back to it. Let's go right into that mitochondrial program. In order to do this, I'm going to attach all of these to her, and then we can go into some other things we could go into looking at pain. But the mitochondrial issue will help to resolve any pain, because if you reinvigorate the mitochondria, it will very, very likely reduce the pain issue. We just want to let this run for a second. These are all the libraries that are available, but we don't so much look at this. We want to look at the things that we're interested in or what we're working on for the client. So that's why we do this. So let's go ahead and look at that mitochondrial anatomy. So interesting, wow. So you see, look at all the mitochondrial anatomical pieces that come up for her. So this is just the anatomy asking for help, saying, I do need assistance. Please send your energy my way. The ATP molecule, the ADP molecule, these are literally the forms of energy in the body. So if the mitochondria is not functioning properly, she's going to likely have more pain. She's going to have more hormonal issues. So we're going really to root cause in this case. Mitochondrial messenger RNA, the nuclear membrane of the mitochondria. It's interesting that the lysosome is coming up. See, this is another way you can really learn about the patterns of your clients. I'm going to go back and really look at the essence of the lysosome. Why is that? That might be something that clears toxins out of the mitochondria, if I'm recollecting correctly. The Golgi complex, the F1 complex, the mitochondrial transfer RNA, I explain these in the guide more so you can understand them. So that's really interesting that those are coming up for her. Let's look at the assessment on this. Why is her mitochondria having some issues that may be leading to these other issues? B2 deficiency, oxidative damage, so that grounding could be important. Somebody asked about grounding here. What do you think of grounding pads? It seems my body does not want to be walking on the earth or the beach when my adrenals are out, trying to figure out why. That's hard to say. Some people do not resonate with the grounding pads. It's a long other discussion, but if your home is not properly wired, putting something into the grounding, it's not going to work, and it can actually make things worse. But that's for another day's discussion. But I'm not really sure why you're not feeling like walking on the earth unless your adrenals are just really, really taxed out. So we'd have to look more into that. We've got the MTHFR mutation. We can talk more about that another time. Some mercury toxicity. The carnosine is a big, big player. You guys, if you were just going to randomly order one supplement, it probably would be the carnosine, because the carnosine has been studied so well for having an impact positively on the mitochondria. So we'll talk more about that in future classes, but it's interesting. You're going to see that mitochondria come up a lot for people in the rejuvenation program. Vitamin C deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, biotin deficiency, B3 deficiency. So you guys, if you looked at the actual, I'll see if I can pull this up from the mitochondrial rejuvenation program. But if you look at the actual cellular process of the mitochondrial citric acid cycle, you're going to see all of these around the periphery. So they're all cofactors, which is kind of fascinating. So heavy metal toxicity, and we saw the mercury toxicity. So the electron transport chain within the mitochondria is very, very susceptible to different frequencies. So if you're being exposed to toxins, that free radical damage, which literally deals with the free radicals, would be affecting the electron transport chain. So toxins are going to really ding the mitochondria particularly. I'm just trying to see if I can find that biochemical pathway. I guess you guys probably may not be as fascinated by chemical pathways as I am, or maybe you are. So you could just sit there all day and look at these. That's what I found really interesting about biochemistry, and I think really the majority of people could understand this stuff. They just don't ever get the opportunity to, and that's what a lot of my classes are about. It's to take what I've had the privilege to learn as a naturopath and sort of just make it as clear as possible so that you can pick it up and understand it. So look for those in 2018. Definitely be checking out. I'm going to have brand new classes, even those who've been through my programs before. So let's just look at this for a second because it is kind of fun. You can just share this information at cocktail parties and impress everybody. So if you look at this and you look at her deficiencies, look at, this is the actual chemical process that your mitochondria goes through. And so as you look at this, you see nicotinic acid, that's the niacin, that's the vitamin B3. If you look at, we didn't see choline, but choline is like part of the B complex. If you look down here, here's the vitamin B12. We see the B12 deficiency needing to fit into the mitochondrial pathway here to make that energy currency called the ATP. Literally, if you have energy, you'll feel good. That means you have lots of sufficient ATP. If you feel like you have no energy even to go walk on the beach, that may be, you know, ATP deficiency because this citric acid cycle is not working. Why is it not working? Probably because you don't have enough of these vitamins in there. That could be one reason. It could also be an electrical issue. We'll talk about that. But you see the biotin deficiency. So the biotin is, just saw it right here. Here's the B12. So interesting how much, you can't really make this stuff up, how much is this is exactly matching what's going on within the mitochondria she's showing the deficiency for. And furthermore, she's getting dinged because she has this toxicity, which is free radical damage, which affects the energy going through the electron transport chain within the mitochondria. So you are an awesome person, Heather, to be testing for this. Very, very helpful. Okay, so let's go back in here. And heavy metal toxicity, we want to include everything up to 200. Ribose deficiency, I'm not going to get into that now, but that's part of what feeds that mitochondria. Leaky gut, parasites. I feel like we did a pre-test on you or something, Heather, and I saw parasites, but I could be blending all of the scans together in my brain. So that's about it there. Then let's go into the solutions. What are the solutions that resonate most for, because we always want to know problem solution. Energy that is making up the permutations of the issue and what will help. So Siberian ginseng, this is good for the adrenals. Vitamin B3, we saw that vitamin B3 deficiency. So this is what I call the echoes or the matching pieces of biofeedback, where you saw the deficiency and then you see it as the solution. And it gives us more confidence that we're actually, you know, we're doing this right. We're getting accurate answers. Divine healing and prayer. So send some energetic prayers of healing right to Heather's mitochondria and help her to really resolve this issue. That's always very helpful. Benfotiamine, this is what I talked about at the top of the hour. This is the liposomal form of vitamin B1. And again, the vitamin B1, very important for that pathway that we looked at for the making your mitochondria, actually producing your mitochondria. I haven't spelled this right. This should be Ashtanga Yoga. I have to go back and change that. Okay, so alkalizing the body. TA65, that's that form of astragalus. You could just get regular astragalus. Another thing that probably works really similar to the astragalus is ashwagandha. It's a powerful antioxidant. It's a powerful immune support. It's just really like great, fantastic, natural herbal energy. There's that CoQ10. The CoQ10, the coenzyme Q10, is food for the mitochondria. When you hear CoQ10 is good for your heart, you guys, guess where you have the most, by far, mitochondria in the body? In the heart. The heart cannot take a break or it's going to be bye-bye. The heart works all the time. The heart works at night. The heart works your whole life from the moment you come into the world to the moment you transition to the next dimension. It never takes a break. It needs massive amounts of mitochondria to have energy constantly. So it is the richest form of mitochondria. It's one of the really interesting things, you guys, about cholesterol medications. Why do natural medicine doctors say, God, don't let that person take cholesterol lowering medications? Because it actually significantly lowers the coenzyme Q10 levels in the body. Literally, those the statins in particular. So statin drugs, if you know someone who's taking them, every statin drug prescription should come with a prescription that says, good Lord, at least give yourself a fighting chance and go out and get yourself some CoQ10 to take with your statin drug. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So CoQ10 is depleted through your cholesterol enzyme, through your cholesterol lowering drugs, which allegedly are supposed to help with heart disease. But unfortunately, it decreases the one very important nutrient that will help the heart. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, but most of the public doesn't know that, unfortunately. There's some medicinal mushrooms, some pantothenic acid, Hoshu Wu. You see, these are all very antioxidant rich. They're all very vitamin B rich. They're all very, filled with antioxidants, basically, and things that support the adrenals. The L-carnitine, so we've learned, we see the L-carnitine sort of repeating itself, that we see the L-carnitine for several different clients. Wow, L-carnitine may be something very important for the mitochondria. Here's some, it's interesting, the royal jelly and the bee pollen go together. There's reishi, she really resonates with those medicinal mushrooms. So that's something that would be very powerful for her. Medicinal mushrooms have the beta-glucans. We know beta-glucans are very, very good for the mitochondria. And she really needs some detoxification. The detoxification, what that does is it decreases the free radical stress, and that really helps the cycle through the electron transport chain. It's interesting, another thing that helps the electron transport chain, that helps the coherence of the body, is cold thermogenesis. It's another thing I talk about in the program. So you guys try this. Get a nice, like a washing basin that you would use for your dishes. Go get a couple of trays of ice. Before you go to bed at night, put your feet in the water and put the ice into the water. Probably easier to put your feet into the cool water first, then put the ice in. Allow your feet to stay in there for 1 to 3 minutes, as long as you can stand that nice cold without being uncomfortable, and then, you know, dry off, make sure you're warm, and then get into bed right after that. You will have the best sleep you've had in weeks. It's partially because of the properties of cold thermogenesis actually on the mitochondria. They actually improve the energetic flow through the electron transport chain. Cold tends to cool the processes in the body. It's not really cold per se, but it creates more coherence. And so where there's a lot of energetic disruption with free radicals and EMFs, the cold reverses that. So cold showers, ice baths, all these things, that's why you see so much out there about these things, because they affect water in a positive way and create more coherence. And as such, because they change the energy in such a positive way, they facilitate better functioning of the mitochondria. A very, very inexpensive way to do that. I think I included these. Glutathione, I'm going all the way up to 200, you guys. Selenium, the gratitude piece, DIM, this is something that helps the hormones. Okay, that's enough there. And then the energetics, and then I would include maybe the solfeggios, the emotions, the flower essences. This is really important. Enhance proper apoptosis, that's the ability of the cell to sort of release or break down when it's not functioning as well. The loss of apoptosis can be associated with cancer, but it's really just associated with aging, premature aging. So we want to enhance proper breakdown. When the cell is completed its life, it sort of surrenders and breaks down, and then allows healthy cells to stay intact, the healthier cells to stay in the mix. Mitochondrial resonance, the perfect resonance for the mitochondria being 160 hertz. That's the enhance the MOTSC to perfect levels. That's a distinct piece of the genetic expression within the mitochondria. Humanin gene functioning perfectly. So that was the one I talked about, that anti-aging gene within the mitochondria. We want that to function perfectly. Optimal functioning ATP. Enhanced liposomal glutathione in the mitochondria. Okay, one of the most important antioxidants in the body is the mitochondria. When the mitochondria is subject to toxins such as mercury, such as heavy metals, okay, such as, sorry, let me just turn this off. such as heavy metals, such as other things within the mitochondria. As I've said before several times in the lecture, things do not flow properly through, the energy is shifted. So we have to detoxify. One of the most potent antioxidants in the body is glutathione. Glutathione. So what we've seen today is that part of the issue for Heather is her need to detoxify, and that will give energy and support to the mitochondria. All right, so that's the energetic piece. Let's just go and see what we would want to include emotions and flower essences in here and probably some solfeggios, but since we're tight for time here, let's see what comes up at the top. Yoga, a type of yoga, the mitochondrial transfer RNA, choline deficiency. So choline you can get in things like lecithin. You can even get sunflower lecithin for this. We'd want some type of a natural B vitamin. I think we're going to select all. I just want to look at the rest of these. Ashwagandha, being that helps to support the immune system, helps to support the mitochondria. Healing leaky gut, because when your gut is impaired, it's not allowing the mitochondrial function to work as well. They're sort of interrelated. When it's like which came first, the chicken or the egg. There's that vitamin B3 deficiency. So some type of natural B vitamin is going to be very, very important. Reishi, which is that medicinal mushroom, she resonates high with the medicinal mushrooms. Ribose deficiency, another B vitamin complex, the biotin, L-carnitine, etc. So wow, all of those were high actually. Going right down to the dim, that's for hormones. Let's do some balancing here. Let's see if you guys had any other questions. Go down here. And I've been naturally treating Hashimoto's. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, Heather, to see if you start working on this mitochondrial thing, if it helps the Hashimoto's. I just started growing ashwagandha first. I just started growing ashwagandha. She says that's great. So she's got a lot on her plate there. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So I'm just reading the other comments. All right. All right. So yeah, if you get that mitochondrial rejuvenation program, you may have gotten it over the weekend, and I was editing the guide because I was like, no, we need more of this, we need more of this information. So if you got the mitochondrial program over the weekend, be sure to shoot me an email. I'm going to be sending it out to the whole group anyway of the people who got the mitochondrial rejuvenation program. But if you haven't gotten it, send me a message and I'll get it to you, you know, super priority, high priority. Okay, so let's now just go back here and look at that aura. So let's go back in here. Now, you may go into the aura and you may notice that you're not able to test it right away. So what we do for that is just simply run the aura even just for a minute or even less than a minute. Why does it say on 0? So let's do this. We basically run it, and literally we could just stop it right there. We just stop it right there, and we should get the begin analysis again. So I don't know why it's designed that way exactly, but there you have it. So let's go ahead and see what's happening here. See before and after. I think that's a good way. Well, we didn't get a lot of change, but granted, we only ran that for like 2 minutes. And it's interesting because we didn't include a lot of the emotions and flower essences, but we only ran it for like 30 seconds. So we didn't see a huge shift, but we did see some of this clearing out over here, some of that darkness. We could see it probably before and after. Let's see if we could do that. So we could run it for longer to see more difference. So we had sort of that dark, you see that darkness right there? And that actually did clear out pretty well. Actually, yeah, I guess there is a significant change. So yeah, this is sort of like a thundercloud over here with all this sort of a dark cloud over here. And then all of that is cleared. So that's actually very good. And we only did a few minutes of balancing. So I would say definitely that mitochondrial piece holds a lot of promise for you, Heather. So let's just go back here. Oh, it's going to make us sort of reshuffle everything. And that's okay. It's okay because it just peels a little bit of the layer. You can see what comes up here. Yeah, that detoxification piece is really, really important. It's still got everything selected, so let's just go there. Let's just see if we can pop in, talk to Heather, get her feedback on what we saw today. All right, so Heather, let's unmute you for a moment here. Heather, any thoughts about what came up for you today?
Some of the stuff, well, it's telling me I've been on the right track for what I've been doing to treat myself on some things.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been very much intuitive, aligned with a lot of the things that we discovered today about the reishi and the ashwagandha and so forth. So it's always fun when those synchronicities line up because we're just asking universal consciousness, and you are connected to universal consciousness.
Yeah, I'm learning that more and more.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is your intuition is probably more spot on than you realize.
Yeah, that's the part I'm learning because it seems like I've been doing what my body needs. Uh,
Now, do you yourself have any mercury fillings, or did you ever have any mercury fillings, silver fillings?
I do. I paid actually a lot of money while I was still working to get them all removed, and it turned out they
Mhm.
didn't remove them all.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that seems to be the issue, and I would say that it's more likely than not, and we could talk separately about getting some testing done to find out what the SNPs are, what the genetic mutations are, like the MTHFR. You may have some other ones, and this may be familial. So all of you may not be very good heavy metal detoxifiers, and that may be what tripped off some of the stuff that your family is dealing with. You may
Okay.
not, yeah, you may naturally not be a very good mercury detoxifier. So that was shown as we tested the mitochondria that you may have the MTHFR mutation. None of this stuff is diagnostic, but it points us in certain directions. Is that something that you've considered before?
Yeah, that's actually why I take a shot of spirulina every morning. And then I also do bentonite clay and activated charcoal.
In
So,
order to, oh, for heavy metal detoxification?
yep,
Actually, I was asking particularly about the, have you had any of the methylation pathways checked?
never heard of that, so probably not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's related to 23andMe, where you test your DNA, but then you test a very specific part of the DNA to see if you have what are called SNPs. These are called single nucleotide polymorphisms, or more commonly known in the culture as the singular MTHFR mutation, even though there are many more than that. What that means is that people of the MTHFR mutation tend to not detoxify as well as other people. So when you think about people in the world, some people took one cigarette, they got sick as a dog. Other people, they smoked until they were, however, whatever age, they lived to be 105. Why is that? Because people have genetic differences. Some people are good detoxifiers of nicotine. Some people are terrible detoxifiers of nicotine. That's why we may want to get that tested, may want to do individualized a treatment based on that. So that's just some ideas, but I think this mitochondrial piece holds a lot of promise for you, and I think it could potentially help with the pain.
That would be fabulous because it's getting harder and harder to walk.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Do you take a B vitamin complex now?
No, but I'm putting it on the list.
Yeah, I'd put it on the list. You can get a whole food derivative. All right, well, if you have any other questions, email me and we can talk more, Heather. Are you thinking about getting the Genius?
I definitely want the genius.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and we do have I call the bridge, I call it a bridge to getting the program. So people can get the full program. They could get a temporary subscription. And if you email me, I can tell you more about that. It's sort of a bridge to getting the full Genius. So send me an email and we'll talk more.
Outstanding. And what's the green line mean in the aura?
You know what? I was just looking at that. I'm going to mute you and let me talk a little bit about this, and you can email me if you have further questions.
All right, thank you.
I think for Heather, what it actually means is that there's something that she's really pulling in powerful. I almost just intuitively want to say she's pulling in her angels when I see this. But there's definitely something going on. I mean, that's kind of remarkable between the last testing and this testing. We're only talking a matter of minutes. You guys, it doesn't take an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours of harmonizing every day to make a difference. We can actually get these results in just minutes. It's just that our brain thinks that more is better, longer is going to make a difference. But if you get the right frequencies, these can be very short sessions, which is good because in your biofeedback practice, you really only have that window of 15 to 20 minutes to really spend doing these sessions. You got to meet with your client, you got to understand them, then you set them up for that relaxation time when they're receiving the frequencies. You decide what frequencies to run for them, and then you need a follow-up time where you explain what you did, You help them to understand how many more sessions they need, and then you give them lifestyle changes, things that help to promote their wellness, because it has to be a partnership between the frequencies and the lifestyle changes they will make as a conscious way to help themselves get better. I always see that as being ultimately the best results. So let's take a picture of this, but this is really fascinating. It would kind of be interesting to see how this progresses. I may do that and take some more pictures and send them out to you. But yeah, there's definitely something absolutely amazing happening here. She's bringing in really wonderful energy, and we've really cleared out that darkness. If we go back, although there's something interesting going on over here, you know, you never know. That could be the place where she says, no, I can't heal. It's not possible for me to heal. It's just hard to know sometimes. But she's got this over here, right? We started with that. Then in like a minute of balancing, we were able to clear that up. So that's really awesome. And with still a little bit of sort of darkish gray. I mean, we're only talking 2 minutes, right? Then we get into just like another sort of 1 to 2 minutes while we're talking. I don't see anything over here anymore. I almost want to say this is our angels coming in here. Something powerful across the whole aura. Again, we're going to be talking more about these auras. People are very interested. Don't know what she's pulling in over here. That's kind of interesting. But things are coming in and they're going out. They're processing. This is like a cycle that people are going through. Nothing is static. It's completely changing from moment to moment. So, and that's really exciting about biofeedback. We'll continue to run some frequencies for her. We're going to finish up in just a minute. We did start a few minutes after the hour, so go just a few minutes past. Let me just see if you have any other questions that I can answer for you. I know everything is possible. I choose positive always. That's awesome. I could tell that about you, Heather. That's great. Okay. When I had metal detox and leg pain went away after the first treatment, MTHFR. When I had a metal detox and leg pain went away after the first treatment, of addressing the MTHFR. Thank you, Sherry. Heather says, I love my angels. Just talked to a doctor who's studying how the mercury gets from the mom gets transferred to the baby, passes through the placenta and blood-brain barrier. Yes, we know that from the 2005 study done by the Environmental Working Group, where they actually looked at women, their fetal blood was just absolutely, the blood that goes into the placenta, it was absolutely filled with at least on average 200 toxins. So we know, unfortunately, something we didn't know before is that mothers do indeed confer their toxins to the children. It's really sad. With MTHFR, I do not detox lead, says Sherry, so that's sort of related to our conversation about the heavy metals. Would it be useful to, for Heather, to alternate between the mitochondrial panel and the nerve panel every day? That is a brilliant idea. I really like that idea. So an alternation from day to day between the mitochondrial and the nerve panel. Mary Lee, thank you. Okay, so just see if there's any other here. We didn't really get to everyone. Jane, I apologize. Why don't you go to the front of the line for next week if you want to join us, and we see you on next week. Remind me, you'll go right to the front of the line. We can work on you. Be happy to do that. And could you pose that doctor's name, please? Dr. Michael Kucera. So you can go and look at his writing. He runs his whole practice is based on mitochondrial testing. And I did a podcast on this. If you look for the Energy Medicine podcast with Dr. Ariel online, you can find the podcast I did with Lilius Amaris, who is working on this particular protocol. She learned directly from Dr. Kucera, and that was an intensive training. Sharon, again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you do end up getting the Genius, being one of the first people in South Africa to be getting the program. That's exciting. So Jane said your nephew Mark. So next week, come to the front of the line and we'll work on this. And Maria, if you come back, we'll try to work on with you as well. Okay. So Grace asked about the entangled insights. Grace, we don't have time to talk about that today. However, we can talk about it next time, or shoot me an email and I can help you to learn about it. It's a way to cross-reference things and find out more about root cause. These are totally recorded. Hey, Kathy. These are totally recorded. I post them to the website, awakentotalhealth.com, after our class. So go ahead and just type in the word training into my website, and you will see all of the past recordings. Yeah, go to my website, awakentotalhealth.com, and type that in. Look at the Cyber Monday specials, you guys. The Mitochondrial program is there on special. If you guys are interested, you can pick it up for $77. Really, it's a $200 program. So check it out there. And there's the Nerve program is on Cyber Monday special. The Vessel Harmonizing program is in Cyber Monday special. There are a few other specials on there. So thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate everyone who joined me here today. We had a fantastic group today. So please come back next week. We work on cases like this every single week. And send me a message. Just go to my website, awakentotalhealth.com, awakentotalhealth.com, hit the contact me button, and that comes right to me. So I'd love to read your emails, respond to them, send me your questions. I'm sending you much love and positive energy and abundance for your week, you guys. I can't wait to spend time with you next Monday. See you here soon. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.